Today, a massive leak dropped for Nvidia's next-gen super GPUs. Intel and AMD are trying to destroy Nvidia. AMD just gave Nvidia owners something huge, and AMD's next-gen is going to be insane. Welcome everyone to Gamer Meld. Okay, it's news time, and first up for today, if you saw my last video, you know that I covered a couple dates for Nvidia's upcoming RTX 40 Super GPUs. Well, today we pretty much have all of them now. As you can see right here, this leak was leaked by Video Cards, where it essentially shares pretty much every date for Nvidia's upcoming super GPUs. Starting things off, we have the product announcement, and what do you know, pretty much exactly what we've thought for a little while now. All of these GPUs are going to be announced on January 8th, so at CES. But now we have a ton more dates. As you can see, next we have unboxing video of the RTX 4070 Super, so keep in mind these are effectively embargo dates. These are given to reviewers and things like that for when they're allowed to do certain things with the GPUs that Nvidia provides. And that first one, like I said, the unboxing videos for the 4070 Super are actually going to happen that exact same day, but instead of 9 a.m. Pacific, it's 2 p.m. Pacific time. So these will be announced, then a little bit later in the day, you'll actually get unboxing videos for the 4070 Super. Then, and just like we've been seeing for a little while now from Nvidia with pretty much their entire 40 series of GPUs, they're going to be having the reviews drop for the MSRP only cards on January 16th for the 4070 Super, then the 4070 Ti Super will be January 23rd, and then the 4080 Super will be January 30th. Then at the exact same day that they actually go on release, where you can actually go online or go to a retailer and purchase these, the non-MSRP reviews will be dropping. And of course, like I've said many times in the past, this is fairly annoying just because a lot of times people want to make sure that they're able to get their GPU before something happens, like obviously they're sold out or something like that. So because of that, they'll end up jumping on it, grabbing it as quickly as they can before they actually get a chance to watch the review for the non-MSRP GPUs. Regardless, as you can see, the 4070 Super ends up releasing on January 17th. The 4070 Ti Super, which, yeah, they are really doing that, mixing TI and Super naming scheme. Seems a little bit confusing, but regardless, that one's going to be on January 24th, and then the 4080 Super is January 31st. And the review embargoes will be dropping at the exact same time that they actually go on shelf, which is 6 a.m. Pacific time. Now, unfortunately, one of the only things that we haven't gotten like really concrete confirmation on is the price. Of course, the hope is that they're going to be cheaper than the non-super variants, but I don't know. Really, at this point, GPU prices are so unbelievably absurd, they'd have to be significantly cheaper to really seem like a good deal anyway. And that's why you need to put your hobby to work for you. Luckily, there's some great careers in computers, and there's no better place I trust to learn computer science than today's sponsor, Brilliant, the online learning platform that was built to teach the STEM field. Whether you're a beginner or expert alike, Brilliant has courses for everyone, like their new course on large language models that power your favorite AI chatbots. Or if you'd rather learn to code, they've even got a course on quantum computing. But the best part isn't what they teach you, but how they teach you, which is by having you get in there and do it yourself with fun and interactive puzzles. And today's the best time to try them out, because Brilliant is offering my viewers a 30-day free trial when you visit brilliant.org/gamermeld. Plus, when you sign up at brilliant.org/gamermeld, you'll get 20% off their premium membership for life. This is a great deal, and I'm not sure how long they'll have it. Once again, that's brilliant.org/gamermeld. And next up for today, it looks like Intel is hoping to team up with others to take on Nvidia. For those who may not know, there's a pretty big reason why Nvidia is the absolute market dominator when it comes to AI. Some of you may instantly think, well, it's their hardware, of course. And sort of, you are right. They absolutely do have some of the best hardware out there. The H100 is an absolute powerhouse, but believe it or not, that's really not their main thing. It actually boils down to something called CUDA. Now you might be thinking, oh, well, CUDA, that's their cores. That's what they call their cores, but in fact, it's actually a whole lot more than that. It's really a framework of software suites that facilitate AI. And at least for now, as well as the foreseeable future, CUDA is the market standard when it comes to AI. We're talking if you want to do really much of anything with AI, you pretty much have to have an Nvidia GPU. Well, in this report, Intel's new CEO, Pat Gelsinger, had a couple things to say about that during one of their recent shows. As you can see right here, it says, quote, the entire industry is motivated to eliminate the CUDA market. He then goes on to say, we think of the CUDA moat as shallow and small, because the industry is motivated to bring a broader set of technologies for broad training, innovation, data science, etc. He then goes on to basically make that thing to be inference. It says, quote, as inferencing occurs, hey, once you've trained the model, there is no CUDA dependency. It's all about, can you run that model well? Then, quote, fundamentally, the inference market is where the game will be at. So yeah, it's clear that Intel is planning to seriously go after Nvidia and hard. Of course, they have a massive incentive to do so, and just like how they mentioned, they state the entire industry is motivated to eliminate the CUDA market, and that obviously also means AMD. Of course, with AMD's ROCm, they're working on their own software suite to try and challenge CUDA, but they definitely have a huge incentive to eliminate the CUDA market. And that's why I really think this kind of shows that Intel and AMD have, similar goals. They're going to be going after Nvidia really hard. But of course, there's a reason pretty much everyone uses CUDA, and that's because unlike Intel and AMD, Nvidia had the foresight to see what AI was going to become, so they really started tackling that early and hard, and they've been investing tons and tons of money into it. So it's not like Nvidia just got lucky or anything like that. It really makes perfect sense why they are the market leader, because they effectively created this market. Still, Intel and AMD absolutely want a piece of the pie, so they're going to be going after Nvidia very hard. And it'll be really interesting to see what ends up happening with this emerging market. And speaking of the benefits for Nvidia with having proprietary information, there are some massive benefits to open source. Case in point, AMD recently released their FSR technology on GitHub, making it completely open. You can see right here, it's on their GPU Open website, and we're already seeing benefits of that. As you can see right here, it says AMD's FSR frame generation can be enabled in any game supporting Nvidia DLSS 3 with a new free mod. Now, it's not necessarily in any game, but I'll get to that in just a second, but it is pretty wild. You can see it says there's a mod developed by Nukem9, which can be downloaded here, essentially allows users to enable AMD's FSR3 frame generation with any game that supports Nvidia's DLSS 3. And of course, if you remember, FSR3 doesn't just support frame generation on AMD GPUs, and it doesn't even just support it on Nvidia's newest GPUs, but it also supports it on both their 20 and 30 series cards, which is why Video Cards mentions that, hey, now you can get frame generation on Nvidia's older GPUs, which is pretty wild because it means that AMD's tech is actually helping Nvidia GPU owners more than Nvidia's own tech. And this, at least to me, is one of the big reasons why Nvidia shouldn't have kind of artificially inflated how good the 40 series looked just by not allowing older cards to use DLSS 3. Now, obviously, the 40 series is still better than their 30 series, but not nearly as much as Nvidia made it seem, because it was just relying on those numbers from DLSS 3. Because now 20 and 30 series cards can get that good old frame generation. Though, as I said, it's not perfect. There are a few issues with it. They've actually been able to get it to work on Cyberpunk 2077 and The Witcher 3, but there have been problems with Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, Dying Light 2, as well as Hitman 3. And obviously this is one of the issues that you're going to have when this is just a mod rather than official support, but it really goes to show just how great open source can be for pretty much everyone. And lastly for today, even though AMD is really at the top of the game, when it comes to performance in servers, as well as, the HEDT, their Threadripper market, things like that. They completely annihilate Intel, yet they still aren't slowing down. In this new report, AMD's next-gen EPYC Turin CPUs have been pictured, and they actually tell us a ton of things, including the cores. As you can see down here, they do look very similar to their last-gen CPUs, and that's actually because they are socket compatible with last-gen socket, so you don't have to buy a new motherboard or anything like that. But AMD found a way to still massively up the cores. In this leak, we have both the regular Zen 5 core CPUs as well as the Zen 5C cores. Think of what they did with Bergamo, where they just have a ton of their, little cores, I guess you could call them, in one CPU. And in that, they were able to get up to 128 cores and 256 threads. But that was last gen. Now, with Zen 5, they were actually able to get up to 128 cores and 256 threads with their main Zen 5 cores, not Zen 5C. When we look at Zen 5C, the core count becomes an unbelievable 192 cores, 384 threads. So yeah, that's a 50% increase in core count from last gen to this, and they were already and are already completely dominating in terms of performance. Now, this may make you think that those earlier rumors that AMD was going to be upping core counts per CCD is true, but unfortunately it doesn't look to be the case. Just like last gen, when we look at these Zen 5, this is their regular Turin CPU, we can see that it is still 8 cores per module. The difference is that they went from, I believe it was 12 to now 16. So you can see 8 here, and then 8 here. So basically, instead of adding more cores per CCD, they just added more CCDs. And once again, that's actually the same case here as well with Zen 5C. You can see that each CCD has 16 cores. So basically, if AMD was going to add more cores to their desktop CPUs with Zen 5, they would have to add more CCDs. And maybe there's a little bit of room for that, but I really wouldn't get my hopes up. Still, this is unbelievable what they're doing with their EPYC CPUs. Up to 192 cores. Oh, they're also doing stuff like doubling the L3 cache for Zen 5C, things like that. So they are just not stopping anytime soon. Basically, Intel is in some serious trouble. So while that does it for today, what do you think about AMD's next-gen EPYC? Is Intel in a ton of trouble? Let me know down in the comments below. And don't forget to try out Brilliant at brilliant.org/gamermail. And as always, have a great day.